One of the most commonly asked questions on Facebook race car build sites, particularly sports sedans and time attack, is I want to build a front splitter for my car. What material should I use and how should I go about it? Well, go buy yourself a sheet of MDF. Yes, some well-meaning experts on Facebook actually make their front splitters out of MDF, and that's what they put on the car. That's one of the problems with Facebook, is if somebody does something the wrong way or uses the wrong material and they post it, you go, well, that's a good idea, because it sounds so easy, and then you just go along and repeat the mistake. Why is MDF totally unsuitable? Well, because a front splitter is going to take more impacts than any other part of a race car. It's usually the lowest part of the car to the racetrack, and particularly if you get up on a ripple strip or something like that, or even just loading or unloading off up ramps and on the trailer, it's going to take most of the impacts. MDF, I don't think so, but this material is where we start. I'm going to show you the right materials to use for making a front splitter for your car, how to do it step by step. And this is an easy first composite project. If you've never used composites in your life before, here's an ideal one to get you started. And composites, well, if you're serious about racing and building a racing car, you should definitely be into them. So get yourself a piece of MDF. My client supplied me with this one, which is 10mm thick. I would prefer 20mm thick, because that gives you more material for your screws to purchase when you're going to add a couple of bits to this. Remember, the front splitter is the part of your car which is most likely to get damaged, and you're probably going to end up wanting to make another 2 or 3 further down the track. So if you make your MDF die strong, then you can keep it in your garage, and when you've busted your front splitter and you need to make another one, you've got your die ready to go and you just spin another one out. And clients cut this out to the shape that suits his car. He's added these vents at the back. They're just made from MDF with plastic over the top, or you could just use tin and glue that together as well as you can without the screw head showing. He's also added, in his particular case, these winglets. So we're going to, the first step is to finish this MDF die and then overlay it with Kevlar, which will then come off, and that will be the part that goes on a race car. The die will end up staying in one piece, hopefully, and then, as I said, you'll be able to store that in your shed and spit another one out further down the track if needs be. I've made the final improvements to the front splitter die. I've added tin angle round there to just give more support to those side winglets, and I've beveled the edges along here to avoid a sharp 90-degree edge that the cloth wouldn't take up well. So that's just a bit of carbog filled in the screw holes, and I've feathered the front edge with the carbog as well and filled in a few holes. Wood is absorbent, and that doesn't exclude MDF. Imagine if you put water on this, it would soak through. If you left it out in the rain overnight, when you come back, you know that the water would have saturated it. And it's no different with epoxy resins. They will soak into the MDF and lock onto it. And if you just laid
either fiberglass or epoxy directly onto this MDF. When you went to pull it off, you would actually rip off the top surface of the MDF and you wouldn't get a clean release. To enable you to do that and get it to just pop right off, the MDF must be sealed with a 2-pack polyurethane floor or table gloss. I use Estibol 7008. Bunnings don't sell it, but the wattle shops do. I think Famo Wood Glaze Coat is an American equivalent, but a 2-pack polyurethane floor or table gloss. So that's what you need. So I'll seal this now, and I'm thinking it may even take 2 coats. Remember, I'm not trying to get a gloss finish. What we're doing with this polyurethane resin is sealing this dye so that the resins won't lock into it.
It did take 2 coats of 2-pack polyurethane clear epoxy resin to seal this plug, but now this front splitter die is ready for layer. I'm going to use 2 types of cloth. I'm going to put Kevlar on the bottom and the top layer, and in between the thickness and for added strength, I'm going to use 600 gram double bias fiberglass cloth, but I'll be laying it with epoxy resin the whole lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my cloth now, pre-cut it, particularly given how difficult Kevlar is to cut, even with the right tool. And I'm going to cut the 600 double bias fiberglass cloth first, because that's easiest to cut, and that will give me a pattern by which I can mark out the Kevlar for cutting as well. When you make a composite part for any race car, it's always a toss-up trying to get the balancing act right between thickness as far as strength goes and lightness goes. If you make a part too thick, it's too heavy. If you make it too thin, it's not strong enough. This is incredibly strong because of the Kevlar, which is bulletproof and resistant. This is flexible because I've chosen to make it on the light side. And the way that the client will stiffen this is he'll put these little strips, it's called fly mold. You'll get it at all hardware shops, flat on one side and the top corners are rounded, and it's about 10 mil thick. It's used on old-fashioned timber fly screens. That's why it's called fly mold. If you just put this on the car and it hits the ground, this is going to wear. And so putting strips of fly mold on this and just bolting them to the bottom with countersunk bolts will form two jobs. It'll stiffen this up and keep it flat, but these strips will also serve as wear pieces, so that if you hit the ground or something like that, let's say you go out on a track and your suspension's too low, and this is rubbing, rather than abrasing your splitter, you'll hear it and you'll see the wear on the timber strips, and you can adjust your timber up. If you hit a curb or something like that, these will take a lot of the force. So this will have 3, maybe 4 strips, I would think, going that way. You don't want them going that way because obviously they catch if they hit something. So you put them that way. I've shown you the simplest method as to how you can make a front splitter. No vacuum bagging necessary, and just a 2-step process. Make the plug and make your part on it. Now, doing things that way means that the underside of the splitter is the smooth side. It's getting that smoothness from the MDF. But on the top side where the lip will be showing a bit past the front bar, you're going to get the texture of the cloth. And what I will do, I mean, if you're going to paint it, it doesn't matter, but if you want to leave that to show that it's Kevlar, I'm just going, in this case, I'm just going to put several clear coats of 2-pack polyester resin on that. After about 2 or 3 coats, I'll sand it, and that will give me a nice smooth finish, and I'll give it a top coat. However, if you wanted this lip as smooth as the bottom, then what you would need to do is a 3-step process, and I'll be doing that for another client later this week. You make your timber plug, and then instead of making this on it, you put fiberglass on it, make a fiberglass mould, and then you make your Kevlar product to go on the car in the fiberglass mould. A 3-step process. That will give you the glass smooth finish there, but the underside of your part is going to have the texture. That may not worry you because no one will ever see it. That's the differences in the way that you can make this. I hope I've encouraged you to have a go. You might like to make some changes of your own. You might like to add another layer of 600 double bias fiberglass to make it thicker, so you don't have to worry with the timber strips. But that's how you make one.